Meh. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have Alliance War Season 27 changes. Attack tactics, scoring changes, schedule update, and reward changes that we don't know yet. We're going to discuss them when we do get the information. But we're going to go through over most of the changes here and discuss what's good, what's not good. But if you are somebody that values their time extremely highly, then the long and short gist of it is we have new attacker tactics. It's going to be a new mechanic that each player can select. We're going to have new defensive tactics. The map stays the same. Couple of nodes are changed. And besides that, there's a change to the energy system. So all in all, meh. I genuinely think, and I hope I'm wrong, that this is going to make war even worse. I think that the way they're changing it is going to make death feel even more meaningful, and I think potentially the difficulty level of the top tier alliance war might go even further down, and it is not out of the question that we might even see more like ties 1-1, 2-2, 0-0, that stuff like that, which I'm not a big fan of. So let's start with the fact that the map has not been changed. When it comes to the map itself, they have updated a few nodes, and for most part they have made them easier, largely seemingly to account for Immortal Abomination's interaction with Redoubled Determination and Lionheart. But other than that, couple other of trickier fights have been changed, like kinetic transference has been tuned down from 3 to 2 on node 43, which was paired with Aspect of Evolution. Lionheart replaced with Indomitable. Powerful from Afar has been replaced with Rise to Power. Yeah, so overall they kind of made it easier, the entire map. Obviously, we already knew about the quality of life changes to loyalty store, to AW boosts. I'm not going to talk about it too much. The important bit is scoring update. Now, increased exploration points per node to 200. I believe it previously was 80 points. And courage, or was it full offensive bonus? I don't remember how much it was previously, but basically the idea is that it encourages everybody to fully explore, which is going to be a big problem for a lot of lower alliances, which obviously capitalized on the fact that you could just boss rush, beat the boss, get the war done, and even win some wars like that. So right now, that strategy will not be in play really. Now, I don't think this change significantly affects top tier alliances, which is something that I personally represent for. Therefore, I don't really have the best point of reference for lower tier alliances, but I suspect if I was in tier 5 or lower, I would not be happy about this change at all whatsoever. But as far as it goes on a personal level, I don't think it will affect anything, because like top tier alliances explore everything always anyways. So removed bonus points for defenders remaining. Now this idea I actually like, because quite often in top tier wars right now, if you happen to be matched against a weaker alliance who had chosen the kill the boss strategy or gotten stuck someplace along the way, you gained a ton of extra points and basically use that as your tiebreaker. You could be playing worse the entire season, but so long as opponent left a couple of fights on, you gained a ton of points and you were ahead of alliances that were objectively doing better than you were. And removing that defender's remaining bonus, I think, is a fairly good idea. I don't mind that at all. Season war win bonus is reduced to 30,000 points, decreasing the season win bonus so that losing a single war during season will not your alliance too far behind. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, and I will have to see how it works out in practice. I think if they wanted to decrease these points, they probably should have decreased them even further to maybe 10,000. So the most important thing becomes how many times you die a war rather than whether you win or lose the war, because a lot of top tier alliances end up matching each other like 2 or 3 times, and you only play like the strongest of the strongest alliances, which kind of should be the thing, obviously, yes. However, then there are alliances who kind of like get to coast alongside on the easy lane, matching significantly weaker alliances and still staying ahead of these top alliances by just kind of like having the win bonus carry them. So all in all, I think it's a bit too early for me to comment on this. I want to see how it works out in practice. But again, at an ideological level, I do not really mind that. If anything, I would have preferred if they go in with this strategy, they kind of go all the way in, and the thing that matters most is not whether your alliance wins or loses. Obviously, it should give you some bonus, but the thing that matters most is how many times you die, your team dies. And if you want to put war in that direction, which has its drawbacks, which definitely has its benefits, which will mean that every single death in Alliance War season will be much more meaningful now. Because currently, if you die twice or die once, but your alliance still wins, it doesn't affect as much. After this change, every single fight will matter more. After this change, every single death would matter more. But I don't know if reducing it to 30,000 kind of like is enough to make a difference there. Right, let's move on to the tier updates. Again, we knew about this, that tier 3 alliances will move to the challenger map. So tier 3 to 5 will enjoy the challenger map. That's fine. Again, some node changes, nothing too meaningful. You guys are going to notice it as soon as the season starts. But basically, a handful of nodes have gotten easy and no major changes there. Attack tactics. Attack tactics are separate from defensive tactics, and each individual player will pick them. I kind of like that. I kind of like that quite a bit. And let's go over offensive tactics. Now, first one, we're going to have the regenerator offensive tactic. Fine, I guess. Like, they're splitting a W regenerator in two parts. So basically, you're going to have this defensive tactic, and you will be able to select it as an offensive tactic as well. Now, I forgot which champions were included in it, but there's a very good reason why I forgot it. Because as a defensive tactic, it was absolutely pointless. I think we may have encountered it once in however many seasons it was active, and it's pathetic. So I don't think it's going to play a major role. Anyways, let's go on with the next one, with AW, damage over time tactic. So damage over time tactic, while the defender is inflicted with 2 or more damaging debuff, they become passively heal blocked. Non-damaging debuffs reapply the heal block. Now, I think this tactic is useless because Despair Mastery exists. 2 damaging debuffs already reduce the healing by 30%, but typically if you have access to several damaging debuffs, you have access to more than 2 of them. In most cases, like every single champion that you could potentially use, Black Widow Deadly Origins typically has like 4 or 5 shocks on the opponent or none. Blade typically has like 4 or 5. Carnage has a ton of bleeds. Typically, Elsa Bloodstone has more debuffs on the opponent as well. Same as Gwenpool, Hyperion, Massacre, Mole-Man, Namor now, post-buff, Night Rusher, so on and so forth. So with Despair Mastery, you already significantly reduce the amount of healing opponents get. So I think this offensive tactic is once again quite pointless. I don't really see much use for it at all. We're going to take a look at this slow your roll, and this could potentially be helpful, but again, 1/2 of it is going to be unused. Again, I don't think these tactics are well designed. Let me put that straight away. I think these tactics are not the finest brain work of anyone. It's not any designer's finest hour. I'm going to tell you that much, but okay. Introducing slow to a whole new series of characters. If the attacker has at least one armor buff, or the defender has at least 1 armor break debuff, striking the defender with a heavy attack will apply 10-second slow debuff. Okay, so here's the thing. When you're striking opponents with heavy attacks, it typically happens straight after... it typically happens straight after parry, at which point they are stunned. And you kind of use that fact in itself to bypass the evade mechanics, so that kind of like invalidates parts of the slow. Plus a 10-second slow debuff, as we have all witnessed from champions like Yellow Jacket, is not really the most convenient duration. So basically every champion that is in this pool now gets that Yellow Jacket ability where you can play slow for 10 seconds on heavy attack. It's exactly what Yellow Jacket is able to do. And if you have played with Yellow Jacket post his buff, you can know that it is just about too short of a slow to be used reliably. And that means you will not really rely on it to carry you through fights that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do. But let's go over it. Guillotine 2099, Colossus, Venom, Guardian, Hulkbuster. So at least there are some champions that could actually potentially end up being used in Alliance War, which is another thing that we're going to discuss a bit later. But Magneto, Marvel Now. We have Sentinel. We have Vision Timely? What the? Vision Timely. Did I... Okay. Okay. Angela might actually get used for like hazard shift potentially, and then we have, well, that's about it, I guess, because nobody's gonna use Silver Warrior, Airwalker, or Vulture offensively anyway. So yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a better understanding of these offensive tactics once we actually get going. I mean, this might be somewhat helpful to counter some evade effects and stuff like that, but again, Colossus kind of has a hidden evade counter on his heavy attacks anyways, and Venom will stop all the weight from Spider Champions anyway, so I don't know. Maybe this one's useful, but it's definitely nothing overly game breaking. But Power Down could potentially be more useful one, because that is one of the bigger risk factors in Alliance War when opponents get to their level 3s due to spites, due to different abilities that they might have, and you eat a level 3 that they can take you out quickly. Finishing a 5-hit combo with a different attack from the previous will apply a Wither debuff to the opponent, reducing their ability power rate by 20% for 15 seconds. Each promise effect on the attacker, non-damaging debuff or non-damaging debuff excluding Wither, on the defender will apply additional Wither debuff. So you can basically shut down and reverse ability power gain. So power gain from Hyperions, power gain from Mordo, Havoc's passive power gain, Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange passive power gain, things like that. That could potentially be useful. Also, the fact that Professor X, fact that Apocalypse, Storm Pyramid X, She-Hulk, Luke Cage, who else is here that could actually end up being used? Red Guardian can access it, potentially maybe Spider-Ham. Could be helpful. I think this Wither might be probably at least one of the more useful offensive tactics, because there is actually a chance that you might rely on this ability to do a fight which otherwise would be too sketchy. So I don't think it's greatest defensive tactic, and again, keep in mind that most of the popular offensively used champions are not included in any of these. Like, we don't see Warlock, we don't see Doctor Doom, we don't see Human Torch, and obviously those are the champions you're still going to end up using. You're not going to take in Proxima Midnight or Doctor Strange in Alliance War because of this offensive tactic if you can bring in Human Torch or Warlock. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. So I think this idea of offensive tactics, if they don't include the most popular meta options, they will simply be irrelevant. That is the end of the story. There's no way around it. Nobody's going to use Yellow Jacket instead of Doctor Doom to power control the opponents. That's it. It's just not going to do it. It might be neat. It might occasionally come into play. It might, in case of Apocalypse, because Apocalypse is a champion you might actually end up using in Alliance War. But in general, you're just not going to do it. Anyways, we have some more defensive tactics. Untouchable. Oh, sorry, defensive tactics. I can't. This is anti-Quake tactic. So this tactic basically does nothing for no one except it counters Quake. That's just about it. That's literally should have been the name of the tactic. Anti-Quake defensive tactic. Every 20 seconds, the defender gains 1 altitude charge. When the defender has any altitude charges, they will do a burst of 500 energy damage per altitude charge when blocked. While under the effect of altitude charges, the defender gains true accuracy. Altitude charges are unaffected by ability accuracy, and every 10 hits on the attacker's combo meter will remove 1 altitude charge. So it's basically void-like mechanic that gives you true accuracy, so stops evade, and on top of that, every time you parry, you will take 500 energy damage. So let's look at it realistically. It's going to be up for negligible amount of time in any realistic matchup. In worst case scenario, you're probably going to end up losing 500 to 1500 health, because you're going to have to land a parry in order to get 5-hit combo in and pass yourself up to the next set of 10 hits in your combo meter and get rid of the altitude charge. So in general, this tactic is useful for one thing and one thing only, and it is a very useful thing though, and that is to counter Quake. Basically, you bring in this defensive tactic and opponents can't Quake. That's what it does, and that is end of it. Not much more that it's designed to do. Again, it's nobody's finest hour designing these defensive tactics or offensive tactics. It really isn't. Let's go with Untouchables. Whenever the defender triggers a miss or evade, they gain a resistance charge, granting up 30% damage resistance, passive effect lasting indefinitely and stacking up to 3 times. Intercepting the opponent will remove 1 resistance charge. Additionally, all evade abilities gain a flat 15% ability accuracy. So this is for evaders, and this is largely pointless defensive tactic. So let's go over. Guillotine 2099. Heavy her, you can easily work around that miss mechanic. Domino, okay, Domino might be tiny bit more annoying, but you're still probably gonna have decent counter parry heavy. It's not like she is meant to evade. Hit Monkey, yeah, just don't knock him down, he can't evade. Mr. Fantastic, yeah, sure, who cares really, just his true strike to accuracy champion. Nightcrawler, Ultron, yeah, I don't think this is gonna make much of an impact. I think all of these fights have very easy counters. Human Torch for Miss champions and true strike to accuracy champs, and Venom for all the Spider-Man and stuff like that. So I don't think it's gonna have much of an impact. So yeah, offensively, like tier 1 strategy. Use high ground so opponents can't quake. And offensively, probably use the power down if you want to use it, or just don't select any and you're not gonna be missing out on much. Again, I like the fact that they're trying to encourage people to use different champions, but in a competitive game mode, nobody's going to take a chance on second, third, fourth, or fifth best option. There is a reason why officers spend so much time trying to find the best options for every single fight, and no matter how creative somebody wants to get, you're not going to bring in, let's take a random champion here in any offensive tactic, right? So, you're not going to bring in Iron Man, Finty War instead of Warlock. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to bring in Black Panther, Civil War, and Alliance War offense. Obviously, maybe in rework. Airwalker. You're not going to bring in Airwalker to power control the opponent. You know what I mean? Or slow your opponent or whatever. Why the hell would you use Airwalker that gets a 10-second slow offensively over, I don't know, She-Hulk or something? It's just not going to happen. Civil Warrior. Useless. What the hell I'd use Civil Warrior for above Ghost or Warlock or whatever. Anyways, on the bright side though, we do need to take in consideration what removal of Protect means. And Protect means that everything is going to get ghosted. Next season likely is going to be anti-Quake pro Ghost season. Honestly, prepare Doctor Doom, Warlock, Human Torch, and Ghost. Possibly Omega Red. 5 champions destroying everything in Alliance War. Because for whatever reason they have decided only to counter Quake. Let high damage dealing champions run unchecked, and yeah, that is what it is going to be. Next season is going to be Ghost. Overall, am I excited for next Alliance War season? No. Will it be more interesting than this one? Yes, but only because it's new. Doesn't mean it's better. I actually think the new changes make Alliance War worse. It's gonna be adjustment period. So I do hope that they change it after the next season already immediately. I hope that they don't force us to go through this more than 2 seasons. Now, obviously, I might be wrong. It might be super exciting and tricky and whatever, but I just don't see it. In general, yeah, I don't think this is a significant, if improvement at all, to Alliance War. But gonna have to wait and see, I suppose. But yeah, I don't think this announcement is anybody's finest work. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the